Hello everybody, this is Monty with Flowers by the Bunch. So today we need to put together an arrangement for a client, and she brought in a McCarty piece of pottery, and so she asked that we make a dried arrangement in this piece of pottery. Now the problem is that we don't want to glue or tape onto this pottery. I don't want to mess up the pottery at all. So let me show you what my solution to that was. So I took some foil paper. So this is just florist foil. We often wrap plants in this foil, and I lined the inside of my container. I put a little bit of plaster of Paris in the bottom and I mixed it up. You take the powder and you add a little water and you mix it up. You want it to be about the consistency of a little runnier than biscuit dough. And so I mixed it all up, and then I pushed my floral foam right down on top. So this is just a hard styrofoam. I kind of trimmed it down and I pushed it right on top. To give it a little more weight, I added some of these little decorative marbles. And so it's just a little clear marble. All that's doing for me is weighting that foam just a little bit, because I didn't want, once I got my flowers in, I didn't want anything to topple out. So that's my reasoning behind adding those little marbles, to give us just a little more weight. And it has plenty. Next, what I'm going to do is take a little bit of moss. So this is just Spanish moss. And I am going to just tuck it right on top of my foam, and I am going to make sure to push that foil down as low as possible, because I don't want the foil to show. Okay, so I have my moss on top. I ran to get my pick machine and my glue pen because I left it in the other room. I'm going to start out with a piece of pampas grass plume. So I'm going to just take it. It's actually very easy to break. So I'm just going to break it in a couple of pieces, leaving that plume. I am going to take this arrangement and I am going to spray it with a little clear poly urethane, and what that's going to do is help me to keep this pampas grass from shedding. So I'm going to just take that plume and I'm going to dip it right into my glue, and I am going to press it right down into my foam. I'm going to take my second piece, dip it in my glue, and just press it right down into that foam. And then my third piece. So this is only one plume that I have taken and broken into pieces, and I am just dipping each time right into the glue. So there are my pampas grass plumes. Next, we're going to come in with some pretty burgundy colored eucalyptus. Now this is actually called baby blue euc. It has been dyed a pretty burgundy color. Now what I'm going to do is just take and strip off the bottom leaves. Grab my garbage can. I'm just going to use my snips and trim that stem. I'm going to dip it in that glue and press it right into my foam. Whoop, that broke, so I'm going to break that off. I'm going to try it again. You always have to be careful with dried materials because they're really natural materials that have just been dried, so they do break, so you got to be careful. Alright, so I've got some eucalyptus all the way around, and just your floral snips very easily cuts those stems. So if they need trimmed, just use your little floral snips. It cuts it very easily. And you can see I'm just kind of working all the way around. Okay, so there's our eucalyptus tucked in. Next we're going to come in, and I don't know exactly what this is called. It looks like a millet, a type of millet. And millet is going to be like a grass seed, but it's really, really neat looking. It's just kind of little, almost like little fingers. So we're going to take and we're going to just break that little stem. And we're just going to nestle that right into that arrangement. I love all the different textures of dried arrangement or dried materials. It's kind of, it makes you think a lot of fall. And so I'm just taking each individual piece and dipping it in that glue. Now what that glue is doing for me, okay, so that one is too tender. So because my stem is so tender, I'm actually going to use my pick machine. So a pick machine, these are called a steel pick machine, and you can see what it does is it puts, let me throw that away. It puts a little steel pick on the bottom of your stem. Therefore, that gives you a little bit easier of a way to insert it down into that foam. Sometimes these little stems are just too tender to go right down into that foam. But I'm just taking each individual little stem, sticking it right down into that glue and just tucking it right in. Ooh, I really like this millet a lot. Okay, so the next material we're going to use, I wasn't sure if we would use artificial greenery. I don't know that I want to use artificial greenery because it looks so green. So I only had one stem of this little eucalyptus. It's almost a little gun-eye euc. And I'm going to pop it and kind of come around the base a little bit, give us a little bit. I don't have much, so I have to be sparing. But I just thought that would give us a little bit of movement right down there at the bottom. Okay, I'm going to put a pick on the bottom of this one because it's just so tender. Now this pick machine we use for several different things. I'll be honest. I used it a lot more back in the day than I do now. But we use it for any time we have a stem that's pretty tender like this, that doesn't want to stick down into foam. We'll often use it. Okay, so next, the question is, I need something around that base because it's a little sparse right down there around the base. And so I had some eucalyptus and I'm not sure what I did with it. Let's see if we couldn't use some of this. This was like a little vine that was on another piece of floral material. So I'm going to take it and cut it into smaller pieces. And I'm going to just kind of come around the base. If I don't like it, I'm actually going to just put a pick on it. I'm not going to glue it in. So if I don't like it, I can pull it out really easily. It just looks so not dried. And so I don't know that I like it, but it's always kind of, you'll find in floral design that it's kind of trial and error. You might like it, you might not. And that's okay. You can always pull it out, right? All right.
I just need some tape.
You need tape?
Yeah.
You want to do right in the middle or?
That's beautiful. Okay, so next we're going to come in with some wheat. So this is little dried or preserved wheat. So I'm just going to take it and add it in. I don't know that I mind that greenery. So I'm going to wait a minute and see what I think. So I'm going to take my wheat and I'm just going to tuck it low. I'm going to come back and glue it in just a minute. I don't know why. Why don't you go ahead and glue it now, silly girl? That's the best part about dried materials. But I even love different textures in fresh materials. I love different foliages and different things like that because I really think it adds so much interest to an arrangement with all the textures and all the colors. Now the wonderful thing about dried materials is they come in tons of colors. Like you get them dyed. I mean, you can order them dyed in the different colors, and so I like that too. All right, now to finish it, I think we are gonna need a few little things down here at the base. So I'm gonna grab some eucalyptus. Give me just a second and I'll grab some eucalyptus. So this is just a artificial eucalyptus. It looks just like the spiral eucalyptus there. Now it's not quite as easy to strip. You have to kind of cut it off. I'm going to take and dip that in the glue. And what I'm doing is coming around the base here to try to camouflage that that foam a little bit more. Really, this is one of those things that you just keep adding until you're happy. You know, it doesn't take a whole lot of materials, but you sometimes just have to step back and look at it and say, will that work? But I don't think I mind, I don't mind the greenery at all, I don't think. I don't mind that. I am going to put a couple of pieces up tall, so that it kind of blends all the way through. So I'm just leaving that stem long. And I'm going to push that right in and nestle it into all of those dried materials. But I really like that I added the green eucalyptus because it helps with the green of the other greenery. It just kind of makes it blend a little better to me. So basically, this is just an all greenery arrangement. It's all dried materials. And when you do that, when you use all dried materials or all greenery or whatever, when you use that, you're gonna find you're gonna make it just as if it were fresh flowers. You're gonna just continue to add your flowers or your greenery or your materials until you're pleased. And it's basically exactly what you're doing in floral design. You're just gonna do it with a different type of material. And to me, it's so much fun to use dried materials or go out in the yard and harvest different, forage for different foliages and different things, because it's so fun to see what comes out. All right, so there is our arrangement. It's all the way around. I believe it's actually going to sit on a desk in an office. Now the wonderful part is if she decides that she wants to change this out, this little arrangement is just going to lift right out of her container. And she is able to use her pretty container for anything she'd like. And if she'd like to put her arrangement back in there, that just drops right back into her container. Guys, thank you so much for being here with me this afternoon. If you have any questions about how we do things here at our shop, don't hesitate to ask. You can drop that in the comments below. Do me a great big favor and like this video. It helps us to grow. And if you've not already subscribed to our channel, please be sure to do that. You can also check us out right over there on Facebook. We do live videos every day, and we try our best to come live here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Guys, hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you real soon.